Shout out to Caressa McKnight for sending me this story, and y'all won't believe why this woman had her home raided. So this lady's name is Makisa Thompson. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And she lives in North Carolina. And she had her home raided because her neighbor called, and her neighbor is a white man. Her neighbor called and said that her radio was playing too loud. Her stereo was playing too loud. Guess what was playing on this woman's radio? Speeches from Malcolm X. So I guess that's going to be a new one. Malcolm X and While Black. I don't know. But they got upset that her stereo was too loud and she was playing Malcolm X speeches. Let me go ahead and get into this story. A North Carolina woman said she feared for her life after a half-dozen Garner police officers raided her home last week, seizing several of her belongings after a noise complaint from her white neighbor. There was no provocation or warning, Makisa Thompson told Indie Week via email. They were watching the house all day. Garner Police Department wants to kill me. The incident unfolded around 10 p.m. May 16th outside Thompson's split-level home, where several police officers had fled the street while a few stood at her door. Thompson's children, who initially hid in an upstairs bathroom, took out their phones to record as their mother answered the door. After reading a search warrant, Garner officers spread through Thompson's home and seized an HP laptop, a computer monitor and speakers, at least 7 iPhones, a MacBook, an alarm clock, and charging cables. To make matters worse, Thompson was slapped with a court summons for allegedly violating the city's noise ordinance after her next-door neighbor, Don Barnett, complained that she played her Malcolm X speeches too loudly. Thompson's attorney called Thursday's raid absolute overkill. The raid was officially insane and based in an unconstitutional statute, said T. Greg Doucette. Doing a midnight raid with 9 officers over a noise ordinance of all things is a disproportionate show of force that shows there's something else at play. That's the type of overkill that's intentionally designed to terrorize and punish people, not to actually do what's necessary for enforcing the case. The incident comes just 3 weeks after Garner police seized Thompson's property after a previous complaint from Barnett. On April 22nd, he dialed 911 to gripe that his neighbor was playing loud Islamic Muslim preaching in her backyard as she tidied up her patio. That time, officers took a stereo and issued Thompson a $50 fine. Last week's return visit by police was apparently triggered by Barnett's complaint that Thompson had continued to play amplified speech being projected by some sound amplification device, a search warrant stated. One officer noted that he could hear the noise from Barnett's property line. Our officers did everything that they could at the time to try to bring a peaceful conclusion to this issue before seizing the speaker. First, we warned Ms. Thompson and asked her to turn it down. When she refused and received a second complaint, we issued her a citation for violation of the city ordinance. Under the city's noise ordinance, the playing of any radio, phonograph, television set, record player, sound reproduction device, or any musical instrument in such a manner or with such volume during the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. as to annoy or disturb the quiet, comfort, or repose of persons in any dwelling house, apartment, or any other type of residence is strictly forbidden. However, none of Thompson's alleged violations occurred during this time frame, IndieWeek reported. Also, the vague wording of the ordinance allows officers full discretion over whether someone is in violation of the ordinance or not. The North Carolina mom is now charged with a Class 3 misdemeanor and faces a $500 fine. Jessica Turner, a field manager for the ACLU of North Carolina, said the case is the latest example in a disturbing trend of black people having the cops called on them for iniquitous reasons like sleeping in a common room at Yale University or waiting for a friend at Starbucks. It's quite literally life and death for people of color. No, let's remove that people of color part and just say black. When the police are called on them. Barnett, age 65, insists he isn't racist and only took issue with what he described as Islamic jihadist type messages blaring from Thompson's stereo. His neighbor was playing speeches by Malcolm X and fellow activist Angela Davis at the time. I don't have anything against any black person that acts like they've got sense, Barnett told the outlet in an interview. He claimed the noise coming from Thompson's property was loud enough to wake him at 7:15 a.m. However, Thompson denies ever playing the speeches that early. The search warrant indicated police used 4 videos from Barnett with timestamps of 12:46 p.m., 12:49 p.m., and 2 at 1:22 p.m. as calls for their action some 9 hours later that same day. When it's talking about killing white people and if you're black and you still work for a white man, you're a slave, all that kind of stuff, I don't need to hear that. My grandkids don't need to hear that mess. The frustrated neighbor said he and his family feel they're the victims of a hate crime after being subjected to Thompson's excessive noise. Wow. You hear that? He said he feels like he's the victim of a hate crime based on some stuff that he heard from her stereo. Thompson, on the other hand, believes her neighbor's complaints were racially motivated. The victim of a hate crime is picking up the phone on black people whose only crime that you can detect is that they are playing Islamic speeches, she argued. They are filled with hate because it's a strong black voice and is Islamic preaching. All you know is that it was loud, it was black, and it was somebody proud of being black, and you wanted to put it to an end. Police said they're unaware of any other noise complaints against Thompson, but were forced to execute the search and seizure after she refused to cooperate and continue, quote-unquote, annoying her neighbor. We normally don't have to go to this step. We've charged many other folks with a noise ordinance violation, but never to this extreme. Yeah, that damn neighbor felt some type of way. He was upset about that. Now, I bet you if it was some preaching, he wouldn't have been upset about that. But because it was Malcolm X, he had an issue with it. He heard some things in it that probably ruffled his feathers and said, no, we got to have to put a stop to this. And you know what? I think because she had an issue with him in the past, that's why she did it again. Because at this point, she was just trolling the guy. Like, so it sounds to me that she was going out of her way to make this guy, to piss this guy off. After the first time he called the cops on her. So he's like, you know what? It's Malcolm X's birthday. You thought I was loud a little less than a month ago. Wait till you see how loud I can get on the day of his birthday or right around his birthday. But yeah, that neighbor, he just is about as salty as a damn auntie and pretzel. That's all that is. If it was something that he really wanted to listen to, he wouldn't have complained. But all he heard was white people and quote unquote Islamic preaching going on, and that's when he decided to take action. Notice that that's the part right there where he got upset. So any other part of the speech that I'm sure was being spoken that had nothing to do with why he complained, he was quiet about it until it got to that part. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why a lot of white people do not like Malcolm X. You would never hear them play a Malcolm X speech on the radio on his birthday. Never. You would just have to go online and look for it. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next one.